Hi, I'm Pam Reid, author of New Lenses, a prescription to see your adult children differently. And I'm the founder of a brand ministry called FLOW, an acronym that stands for Feel Love Over Worry. Welcome to this masterclass titled The Rules of Engagement at Any Age. There are many aspects to engaging with our children: how to positively influence them, how to guide and direct them into self sufficiency and self reliancy. But today we're going to focus on one important area, and that is stewardship. Most people associate stewardship only with money and budgets, but being a good steward has more to do with everything you've been blessed with. You know, your gifts, talents, resources, opportunities, leadership, relationships, pretty much everything. And if you really want to experience the best of everything in every aspect of your life, including a healthy, wonderful relationship with your children at any age, it's important to consider stewardship. I recall when we prepared our oldest daughter to go to college, her village surrounded her. It was a struggle in the beginning, but she got her SAT scores to a place where she could actually go to college. And we celebrated this milestone with her and gave her everything any new college student could ask for. Her meal plan was in place. Her tuition was covered by Mr. and Mrs. Yours truly. Her dorm room was to be well decorated. She had all the books and supplies she would need. She had a bank account for incidentals, unexpected expenses, and emergencies. She even had a new wardrobe. No, she didn't need a new wardrobe. And no, she certainly didn't need to be showered with all we gave her. There is a difference, between preparation and obsession. But regardless, we packed up all the stuff in the family van, and all of us, siblings included, took my oldest daughter to college. My daughter was well into her first semester when it was clear that we were going to have to pick her up from school and bring her home. Because, see, apparently the need to have fun outweighed academics and studies tenfold. Her actions, behavior, choices, even the lies made for painful circumstances, some of which we're still paying for today, one way or another. Back then, my daughter had not been a good steward of all that she had, and apparently, neither had I. It shouldn't be common practice for any of us to take our family, our friends, our colleagues, our home, our job, faith, or even the opportunities that we're afforded for granted. Yet I watch people, adults especially, do it every single day. Stewardship is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. This includes our relationships. Imagine how much richer and deeper our relationships would be if we spent the time necessary to cultivate and strengthen them. If we were always respectful and humble and grateful in our dealings with others. Good stewardship includes the many opportunities we've been given, whether or not we recognize them as opportunities. So let me use a person's job as an example. With so many people out of work today, why would anyone take theirs for granted? I mean, your job comes with a paycheck, right? That provides a resource. There are colleagues at work, colleagues to inspire, encourage, and learn from. There's a dynamic in the workplace that affords people an opportunity to add value in some way. Now, of course, I am aware that not everyone makes enough money at their jobs and that not all colleagues are nice, right? Some are miserable and hard. Okay, super hard and super miserable to get along with. And I also know that not all jobs are stimulating. However, none of this changes the fact that a job is a gift, a blessing that we are called to treat with respect and to be thankful for. There's an essay by a gentleman named Bill Peel. He's at the High Calling, and he suggests that there are four principles to biblical stewardship. The first is ownership. In the beginning, God creates everything and then puts Adam in charge of it all to look after it, work it, and take care of it. There is an element of obedience in this. What God gives us and places under our control is meant for us to be a good steward of. The second is responsibility. In his essay, Peel writes, although God gives us all things richly to enjoy, nothing is ours. Nothing really belongs to us. God owns everything. We're responsible for how we treat it and what we do with it. We're called to be good stewards of what belongs to God. Third is the principle of accountability. We're entrusted with much and should not expect to manage and care only as we see fit. Exercising our stewardship should be under the watchful eye of our Creator. We are called to give an account for how we manage all we've been given, including our time, money, abilities, information, wisdom, relationships, and authority. Lastly, Peel acknowledges the principle of reward. In Colossians 3, verses 23 and 24, Paul writes, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ we are serving." So, we are shown time and time again how good and faithful stewards are rewarded because we can see them by their fruit. Back when I worked as a director for Deloitte, I was part of the disaster preparedness team. And after both terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center in 1993 and 2001, the team was expected to account for the whereabouts and safety of all of our employees. Well, we know the devastation that took place that day, right? And the fear and anxiety that gripped me as I tried desperately to reach the 178 people who worked directly for me, it was indescribable. They were my team, my support group, my work family. They celebrated me in such a big way when I was pregnant with my first child, the daughter who I had to bring home from college. From the first day they each began their individual career with the company, they were mine to be responsible for in the workplace, to help them navigate the corporate waters, to mentor, to advocate for, and to defend when necessary. On September 11th, I knew where they were all expected to be and at what times on that horrific day. I know where I was supposed to be on that day, on the 97th floor of Two World Trade. We lost so much on that horrific day, and we will never forget. So I've since left Deloitte, and it was such a great company. It still is. And I'm forever grateful for all I learned during my career there. And one of those biggest lessons was about being a good steward. So my spouse has been entrusted to me as well. There used to be a time when I would like for things to be different. You know what I'm talking about, right? If only he or she would, you fill in the blank. If only he or she could be more like, well, you can fill in the blank on that one too. How ridiculous was that? Well, it probably doesn't seem so ridiculous when you're immersed in a situation you'd rather not be in, especially if you feel quite certain that if he or she was more supportive or if he or she did some things differently, things would be much different, perhaps even better. Well, fortunately for me, I am no longer in that chapter in my life. Yeah, how I managed in that space during that time and didn't have some kind of a breakdown is a mystery to me. But finally, I stopped concerning myself with God's business. He made it very clear that He is capable of everything. I remember when I went to a Joyce Meyer conference and I purchased this coffee mug that I still use to this day. And it says, "Good morning, this is God. I will be handling all of your problems today. I will not need your help, so have a miraculous day." It's funny because I lived my entire life until I realized it doesn't help and often makes things worse trying to assist God. If I could just get this person or that person to change, or just get everyone to understand that my way is the right way, the best way, then would be right in my world. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous and unreasonable. My husband is awesome in all his spouseness. Is that a word? Yeah, spouseness. He does the best he can with what he knows and what he has. There's absolutely nothing more I can or should ask or hope for. He makes mistakes like the rest of us, and deserves forgiveness like the rest of us. I have expectations of him. He has expectations of me. And while I would like him to remember my love language on his own, I no longer mind having to remind him every now and again. At the beginning of this leadership conference I attended in the early 90s, this was well before having kids, I was asked to say my name and share what I believed was the primary reason for my success in such a busy and demanding role. My answer was simple: my husband. I shared that he supports me in everything I do, and that because of him, I have the flexibility to do what's needed to be done in my job with excellence. That was a long time ago, but it still holds true today. That doesn't mean that hubby and I haven't stumbled along the way. It's just my reality and an example I love and hold on to. Sharing is a huge aspect of stewardship. Being able to give of yourself, your time, your talents, and your resources without expecting anything in return is a beautiful and powerful thing. If you don't think so, try it. I bet you'll find that you end up getting more out of selflessly serving than those who you are providing the service for. There's this local nonprofit in my county that provides health care to the underserved and uninsured. They're a significant part of the safety net where I live. The people who run this organization are wonderful, loving people, and the volunteers who give their time and talents to share their expertise with thousands of people each year are nothing short of amazing. They're doctors from different specialties who give regular hours each month to see patients at no charge. Their deeds are generous. They positively impact the lives of those who cannot adequately help themselves, all while setting an amazing example for others to be inspired by and to follow. Simone de Beauvoir said, "That's what I consider true generosity. You give your all, and yet you always feel as if it costs nothing." So, see, the doctors who volunteer for this charitable organization have brought many other doctors into the fold, all because of their joy, the joy that they express by serving and sharing. It's contagious and creates a ripple that can spread farther than you'll ever know. I don't know about you, but at the end of the day, at the end of your days, I want to hear the Lord say to me, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." Yes, that's what I want, and I hope you do as well. So, the bottom line, if your children are still young and you are showering them with your resources, giving them the things that they don't really need, or rewarding them with things they haven't earned, I'm hoping something I've said has pricked your heart. See, because children need to have boundaries, and they need to be taught the value and importance of working towards and earning things at hard work and effort. If you give and hand over things freely and excessively, more often than not, we find ourselves dealing with young adults who have not learned important lessons for self-sufficiency and self-reliancy. They are two very different things. Self-sufficiency is the ability to provide resources for oneself. We all want our children to grow up and have jobs and careers and professions, right? And self-reliance is the confidence in one's own abilities, and they're able to do things for themselves, no longer having to depend on you or me at a time in our lives when we should be preparing to slow down and enjoying the things that we've always planned and dreamt of. So let me close with two things. The first is what I call a personal prescription, right? So this is around the book New Lenses. And so here's your personal prescription, your quote unquote, to your new set of lenses. So there was a two-story chapter in my life when I found myself taking inventory of some really hard things that were going on. And this included the loss of my sister. And I remember the very day when I could actually hear myself vocalizing this list of hard things that had been going on during my life at that time. And I could hear myself in a way that I knew was displeasing to God, as if I had absolutely nothing to be thankful for in the midst of my trials. That was an absolute lie. I had so much to be thankful for. And at that moment, I felt God's gentle conviction at the thought of how many times and with how many people I shared this terrible list with. I had and still have blessings beyond measure. And after hearing the displeasing sound of my own words in my own voice, I committed that whenever lists were in order, I would vocalize my list of blessings only. It's a pretty powerful thing, that spirit of attitude and gratitude and stewardship. Work to keep it going in your life too. Now, the second thing and the last thing is an exercise that really helped me in my journey to greater stewardship. So if you take a sheet of paper and you divide it into 3 columns, that'll be the beginning, right? And in the left-hand column, you're going to list everything you have ownership, responsibility, and accountability for. That left-hand column is your priority column, okay? And so if I were filling out this sheet, I would put my children, say as an example, I put my children in that column. And not for nothing, your daily household and workplace tasks, they don't belong in that column. They're not priorities. Okay, so then in the middle column, you would fill in how you are fulfilling what you are called to do in the areas that coincide with the items on the left. So in the example that I would put my children there, in the middle column, I would provide a safe, loving environment, good education, health coverage, family time, vacations. I'd support their goals, and I'd help and assist when and as appropriate. Now, this exercise will assist in creating a snapshot of how you're doing in the area of stewardship. And at the end, I hope that it'll be very clear to you which areas there are some gaps or you could use a little bit more attention from you. And it's that information that you'll capture in the far right-hand corner, right? So for me, still referring to my children, I would put spend more individual time with each of them. Now, this is something our children deserve, especially when a child has siblings. They need that one-on-one time with you. It lays a special foundation of love and creates a special bond between the two of you. I hope that you have found this masterclass helpful. I am so glad that you came and joined me. I hope that you will join the Flow Nation on my website, Pam Reid, theflowboss.com. I hope you'll follow me on Instagram at The Flow Boss and that you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Flow Boss. Thank you.